tried Amazon FBA for 3 years, and in this video, I'm going to share with you my real results and experience. Now, I've sold over $2 million on Amazon, but it's not even close to being all profit. I'm going to show you the behind the scenes and real numbers on an Amazon arbitrage business so that you can understand what you should be able to expect as you look to start this business yourself. By the end of this video, you're going to know my real profit numbers and understand my journey so that you can have realistic expectations going into this business yourself. If you're new here, my name is Logan and my primary business model is online arbitrage through Amazon FBA. This is basically the process of going to other websites, buying items on the cheap, and then reselling them on Amazon. When I first started this business 3 years ago, I was doing retail arbitrage, where I was physically going into the retail stores and trying to find items for cheap that I could resell on Amazon. Now, that was a really great business model to start, and it is where I recommend everyone begins. But after about 1.5 years, 2 years, I really had to transition into online arbitrage. This is because online arbitrage allowed me to scale, spend more money to grow my business, and it was also easier to outsource. Retail arbitrage is great because you can really get higher profit margins, but at the end of the day, the business is more reliant on you. And certainly you can hire people to help you and you can outsource it in certain ways, but online arbitrage is just a lot more outsourcing friendly. So I switched to online arbitrage from retail arbitrage so that I could outsource and grow my business and ultimately remove myself. After about 3 years, I built the business to the point where it only relies on me to work a couple of hours every week. So let's go ahead and break down my journey year by year so I can show you what to actually expect. Year number 1, I started in April of 2020 when I was working full-time at McDonald's and just looking for another way that I can make some extra money. And I'm going to call this the figuring things out year. People always want to know how much money I started with, and that is important to know. The honest answer is I don't really know. My guess is around $1,000. I was kind of just taking some money out of my McDonald's paychecks and putting them towards inventory. Like I said, I started out doing retail arbitrage, and specifically I started out at Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree was really great because it was a cheap way for me to learn the systems of Amazon and learn how to read the data and get good at it by only having to buy a $1 item. It also taught me a lot of lessons, but ultimately, even though it was high return on investment, Dollar Tree was limiting, so I decided to move on into some bigger retail stores. I started going to places like Walmart, Target, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Ross, all those kind of stores, and also to places like Kohl's and outlets to get a ton of clothing. Clothing was a really big part of my business, and specifically I used to sell a lot of bras and pants from Kohl's. Kohl's has a really great coupon stacking system where you can go to their clearance that's already like 70 to 80% off, plus you can stack 30 to 40% off coupons, plus you can get 30% back in Kohl's Cash, plus you can get like 2 to 4% back on a credit card, and between all that you're getting items really cheap. So that was really cool and was a really big part of my business for a while. But throughout that figuring things out year and transitioning to other stores, here's how my numbers looked. After year 1, I sold a whopping $25,000 from April through the end of the year, and my net profit on that was probably around $4,000 or so. That takes us into year 2. I'm going to call this the BOLO and transition year. BOLO stands for be on the lookout, and I'll explain why I'm calling this the BOLO year shortly. So in year 2, I got my first warehouse. This was really just a former office building that I was setting up tables in and using to prep and ship out my Amazon FBA inventory. It was really nice to have a bigger space to work in, but really it just gave me that kind of legitimacy and pressure to pay my monthly bills. So now that I had a utility bill and I had to pay a monthly rent check, this really kind of kicked things into high gear because it made it more legitimate and really had me focusing on this more and more. Now at this point, I was still doing a lot of retail arbitrage, a lot of bras from Kohl's, and really starting to focus on replenishables and other stores, but Walmart was the main one. A replenishable is simply a product that you can sell over and over again. So since I was driving to a lot of Walmarts, I wanted to identify products that I could hopefully buy at all of the Walmarts. Some examples were like cake mixes, some other grocery products, some toys, and these were products that I knew every single Walmart, or at least most of them that I went to, would have, so I could buy them there. This helped guarantee profit. Instead of driving around and hoping that I could find stuff, I knew that there would always be replenishable products there that I could purchase. I also was doing a lot of BOLOs while I was hunting down those replens. Like I said, a BOLO means be on the lookout, and it's really just like a fast, hot selling item that you want to look for every single time you go. Usually they're shorter lived, but you always want to see if you can find them. Some examples of these were some really hot toys, pools, chlorine, and some other fast selling items. And I was always looking for these in addition to my replens as I was driving around to all the Walmarts. Now towards the end of the summer, I really started transitioning more into online arbitrage. This allowed allowed me to really start to scale my business. It allowed me to work from anywhere since I could just buy the products from my computer. It took away the need to have to drive really throughout the whole country looking for products and hoping that you would find some profitable stuff. And it also allowed me to work with key partners and hire employees to begin outsourcing, because I knew at the end of the day, I wanted to build a business that could run itself and not be 100% reliant on me. So what were my numbers in year 2? So in year 2, I basically 10x my business. I put up around $250,000 in top line revenue, and the profit on that was in the $35,000 to $40,000 range. Year 3 is where things really started to take off, and I'm going to call this the year of big risks and growth. So I started off year 3 not in such a good way. I actually ended up getting sick right at the beginning of the year, and at this point I had began outsourcing, but the business was still heavily reliant on me. So the business really kind of shut down for a couple weeks while I was sick, and this really put in my mind that I need to outsource and build a business that is not so reliant on me. So at the end of January, I hired my first virtual assistants. These were people from the Philippines who were going to be doing online arbitrage product research for me every day. Eventually, my team grew and they started helping out with other tasks and bumped them up to leadership and reviewing positions. But just at the start, they were doing product research and finding profitable online arbitrage leads that I could purchase every day. This was a huge step in outsourcing and one of the best decisions I ever made. And then in the summer, around May, I took a big leap. I got my first legit warehouse, moved all the way across the country to Delaware, and started up a prep center. Prep center is where Amazon sellers can send you their inventory, you'll repackage it and send it to Amazon for them. I moved to Delaware because it's a sales tax free state, so I was saving money on all the sales tax and able to pass that benefit on to my prep clients. Now, I'll be honest, I had some break-even months around this time because I was taking big risks and focusing on fast, quick expansion. And fast, quick expansion is expensive. There were a couple months where I was breaking even or just making a low percentage net profit, which at the time my revenue was really high. So even a low percent net profit was some solid net profit. Like I think at the time I was doing around 150 to 200K in top line revenue. So even just a few percentage point net profit would be something. But still, the point is I was having low margins or even break even around that time. And overall, that led to lower net margins for the year, but it led to great connections and pushed me towards a really good position long term. That prep center ended up not working out because we were struggling to find employees to come in. So I had to be back here for a brick and mortar launch. And long story short, we no longer operate that prep center, but I'm still glad that I did it because it helped me connect with a lot of amazing sellers who have become clients in other businesses and even someone who I've been able to work with as a business partner. And let's talk about how I was making lower percentage net margin this year. And don't forget, I'll share you my numbers for the year momentarily. I'm 100% okay having lower net profit if it means that I am working less. I don't want to build a business that is all reliant on me and requiring me to work 80, 100 hour a week just so I can make more profit. So what were my numbers in year 3? I sold around 1.75 million, but my net margin was low. I only ended up making around $100,000 between profit and my salary. Hopefully this gave you some good insights. Remember, your results are going to be tied to your decisions and your time and capital available. Thanks for watching.